Or no, you started off. I start off so many of these episodes. I don't want it to seem like it's the Jake show.
I gotta go first for once.
For twice?
Twice?
3 times? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't had a count.
Hey, how's it going? And welcome to another episode. On this episode, we are going to start building some bumpers for the race car.
We sure are. The race car.
The race car.
Doesn't it just sound hilarious
it's
calling it that?
Yeah, but it's a race car.
Well, yeah, I mean, we will race.
And it is a car.
It is a car. It's a passenger vehicle. Yep. So, I mean,
4 wheels.
I guess it fits the nomenclature.
Exactly. It's got everything you need for a race car.
It's so weird to say it when you look at the thing. It's this crappy little Civic, but yeah. So that's the plan today. We're going to start off by building some bumpers, bending up some tube, trying to make it as pretty as possible and as sturdy as possible.
Yes, structural as possible.
If we dare use the word sturdy with this car.
We want to serve its purpose well, because in the event that we get hit, which is
highly likely.
Very likely.
Yeah. Hopefully just tap while we're racing.
We want to be able to actually drive the car home.
Being
hopefully.
hit. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We will. It'll be fine. Everything's going to be great.
Okay.
All right. All right, let's do this thing. Let's start cutting, welding, bending.
Measuring.
Sounds like a Daft Punk song. All right.
And
let's
cue
do
the
this
electro
thing.
music. Hey, look at that. That actually looks pretty good.
Cut that little thing out that's underneath this guy. Move that. Snug up. Ooh, this is good. Real good. It's fine. Whatever. It's protected this way. Like super protected. Because you have to hit the tire. Well, to hit the tire, you'd have to go through this entire thing, you know? So, it's probably okay. Alright guys, so where we left off, we started working on these bumper bars that are going to kind of curl around the side of the car. So we finally figured it out. We finally got them to kind of tuck in and hug the car nicely. It actually looked pretty good, despite doing a couple of these little like kind of pie cut style things.
We had to get inventive with some of the angles. We were kind of limited by what the bender would allow us to bend. But ultimately, I think they turned out rather nice.
Yeah,
they look nice.
Not bad at all. So the next step is we're just going to continue with those, keep working on them, making it so that it'll fasten up kind of up in the front. And then we're going to weld them on solid in the back here. So while I'm working on some of that fab work, Donnie's going to work in the inside.
Yep, I got to take this driver's side rear door apart. We can't open it from because of the accident. It's kind of stuck there. But we need to be able to mount these bars in the wheel well and we're just going to end up going through the door, but we don't want to damage the panel.
Exactly. Yeah. So we want the interior to look okay, which I don't know, probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But
there's no rust in the interior. That's
yeah,
why.
the interior looks good. Yeah. So that's all we got left to do then, and we're gonna get cracking on it.
Hells yeah.
Yes.
Here, do you want to throw the towel?
Like if it's snug in some spots and not in others, it's not the end of the world.
It's gonna get hit and
Yeah, it's a shitbox race car. I'm just sitting here trying to make it show car quality, you know.
Oh no, that's always what we're saying for it.
Yep. Yeah, we'll call it 19 inches. Yeah.
Oh, air guitar.
Alright. A little air guitar? Yes. I'm Steve Vai on my axe.
Give me that sound effect from Bill and Ted.
Amazing. Alright, so we're at kind of another turning point here in this whole process.
Yeah, so we're finishing up the armor.
The armor.
On the driver's side.
Anything's a little more armored than what we got here.
So we have, you saw us trace out our circle for the filler neck, and I had a buddy at work actually use the plasma cutter to cut it out. Should save us a bunch of time.
Oh yeah, to try and cut that thing out nice and flat.
Yeah, would have sucked.
And you can do curves with a cutoff wheel,
it's just
but it's really tough. Yeah, and it can't be too tight of a circle. Basically, we couldn't have done this with a cutoff wheel, not very easily.
So we have a little bit of cleanup work still to do. We need to trim our flat stock up top and finish loading that in.
Yeah, exactly.
Along with kind of forming this to the body a little bit more. It's close, but not 100% where we want it.
Yeah.
So a little bit of love.
Definitely. So yeah, we've got to use some sanding drum to try and smooth this out in the center here, try and make it look as nice as possible, even though it's going to get
smushed,
bashed into by a caprice or something.
Yeah, we're actually going to take a little bit of flat stock and reinforce the backside of it, just because that's going to be the weak point on this.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the next step. Time to weld, time to cut, time to do all the things.
Hopefully we can move on to the other side.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get it really quick here. Awesome.
Sweet.
further. In the center, that's going to be an easy one to get right.
Yep.
I think what we'll do is we'll actually take a piece of 120 wall 1 1/4, and we'll slide these two 1-inchers into it by putting that other piece of tube through the other side, and that'll hold this thing in place. All right, so we're on to the tailgate now. So this is pretty cool. The rear end is pretty well done. We got a few little touch-ups to do on it.
Little tweaks and whatnot that we need to
some gussets, that kind of thing. But for the most part, like the structure is really there. I mean, we finally got the floor done. We've got the inside of this thing, the armor, right?
Yeah, our bottom bumper pieces we designed to actually bolt everything together. So if we do blow up the car or it gets totaled out, we can take everything apart.
Which I feel really good about that idea, because I mean the likelihood that we're going to get tapped and it could bend something's pretty high. So it might as well make it serviceable. And so now we're actually onto the tailgate part, which we haven't talked about this yet, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
So the plan is, we want to be able to haul around our tires in the back of this thing, but what's even more important is not having them stolen or having them fall out or whatever, you know?
Yeah, we want to be able to get to the track and unload everything easily, efficiently. You know, if we hit a bump, which is very likely in Duluth roads, we don't want things bouncing around, falling out, causing accidents.
Exactly.
So we're going to add a swing gate that's going to pivot from the bottom and come up and rest somewhere in here.
Yep. Not above the trunk line, 'cause apparently that's one of the rules in the Central Minnesota League, so we want to try and match the rules as much as we can. But so it's going to come up and it's just going to hug the back of the tires. Yep. But there's one really clever piece of engineering that Donnie came up with that we're pretty excited about.
This is the factory trunk latch, and we still have the factory trunk cable in here. What we're going to do is mount this in the center below the third brake light, and we'll run a bar off of our swing gate that's going to use this factory latch, so that will help hold everything into place. And then when we want to unload, we'll just pull the trunk release button and the swing gate will unlatch
so this
and
flap
swing right
open
down.
and the tires will roll out and they'll roll into somebody else's car.
Yep.
And,
but it'll help secure everything. It'll keep things from getting stolen unless they break into the car.
Right.
So
yeah,
should work out nice.
Yeah, we're really stoked for that. We'll make some adjustments on it too, so that we can kind of set the distance. I guess the distance that the tailgate's going to actually come out. That way we can snug it into the tires each time.
Yeah, when we're racing, we're not going to want it to stick out super far, so it'll be able to get adjusted in when we're racing.
And that's another big piece of what exactly. Like, we're going to make it so that this thing bolts in really sturdy if we're not racing. So the tires will come out, obviously they'll get bolted to the car. Our street tires will probably just chill out in the pit area.
Become chairs.
Pretty much, yeah. And then we're going to make it so that this tailgate actually goes in far enough so it complies with the distant rules as far as things can come out, stick out past the back end of the car. And also just to protect the thing. It's one more piece of structure in the back, but it's also, if it's sticking way back, then you're literally inviting collision with that thing, and that's not the sturdiest part of the car.
And from what we've witnessed so far in ice racing, the corners get really, really tight.
Yeah.
So the more clearance we can give everybody else, the safer everyone else is going to be, the less likely we're going to get hit and nudged and spin out and cause problems and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. So, all right, we're going to tear into this thing right now. First step, bending some tube, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this thing. Over. So this one was a tiny bit over.
didn't look pretty.
All right, so we are at a point now where we need to move on from the rear end and start focusing on the front bumper build, fabrication, and all that good stuff. We're waiting on a custom piece that we're having made for the rear end, so that's really exciting. We're stoked about that.
It should really tie it together.
Yeah, it should tie the room together. So what we got to do now, we have some ideas that we're gonna try and use in the front bumper, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of contingent on like where the mounts are. Exactly. You know, like what, just basically like what's behind the bumper cover and how we can attach it firmly to the structure.
Yeah, we might get lucky and there might be a lot of material to work with, or it could be a lot of rot, and we'll have to figure something out too.
Yeah.
There's a Civic.
I'm not too worried about the rot, because I feel like when it comes to rust, especially on these cars, the further back on the car, the more rust there is.
Makes sense.
Because yeah, I mean, the tires chuck the salt, they, you know, get built up in the wheel wells and whatever, and for the most part, like the core support's usually in okay condition, so I feel like we'll be okay up here.
Should.
But I mean, my curiosity is just if we can try and utilize like the factory mounts, maybe even the mounts that are actually on the bumper beam right now, that'd be super cool. So we don't really know until we get into this thing and start looking at what we're up against. Oh, and we got to figure out something about the airbags. We got to like shut that off and stuff.
Yeah, because we don't want to trip a sensor.
Like accidentally hit the sensor and yeah. So, okay, that's the plan. We're gonna do that right now.
Yep, let's do this. Oh man, we gotta pop the hood again.
Oh man.
So the next thing we need to tackle are the door bars, which are these guys right here. And what they'll help do is protect us in the event of an accident. Now we would like to go with a cage, but upon disassembling the floor a little bit, we found that's kind of soft and we're not too sure if it's going to hold up in the event of an accident, and that would actually cause more problems than good. It would actually most likely hurt us. So we're going to go with door bars. These are rather thick, and what we're going to do is take off the rub strip in the door, and then we'll weld them in place. And we'll cut, and then we'll weld them onto the back as well. So our first step is to actually disassemble the door. There's wiring harnesses, there's some sound deadening material in there, plastic, stuff like that. And we don't want that to catch on fire when we're welding. That would be bad to burn the car down before we even get to race. So that's our next step here, is to get started on these guys.